Hey, everybody. Welcome to Game Mess Mornings with me, Jeff Grubb, your host from giantbomb.com. Thank you for tuning in. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the questionable future of the Xbox Handheld. And people aren't loving one of the biggest releases of the year. It's going to be a good one because we have Jason Fanelli on the show. Jason, how are you doing?
I'm feeling great. It's Summer Games Fest week, and we're all running around like chickens with our heads cut off, trying to figure out all of the video game things.
Quite a few video game things.
Yes. Shout out to video game things. One's up in the chat for video game things. I love being this busy. I love this time of year. I live for it. I love the adrenaline of finding out new games and going and hanging out in Los Angeles. I fly out Thursday night. Very excited for that. It's going to be a good one. I just feel it in my bones. I know people have been like, not really expecting much from Summer Games Fest. I don't know what to think. I feel it in my bones. We're gonna have a good time. It's gonna click.
Okay, I'm starting to get there now. It definitely feels like starting to make appointments. It's like okay, that some people are showing up. Maybe things will be a little bit better than I was thinking. You're flying out Thursday?
Yes.
Do you think do you have a Switch 2 pre-order?
I am midnighting Switch 2 the night before. Baby.
Okay, so you got it all figured out.
Oh yeah, I'm going to midnight it on Wednesday night into Thursday. I'll have it all set up. My flight's about 6 o'clock at night, 6 o'clock in the afternoon. I'll land in LA about 10 p.m. LA time. I will not go to bed because who does that? No. And we'll make it happen. Figure it out.
Fantastic. I've been like looking. I booked my flight right as soon as I separated from my previous company, and I was like, just gonna go on my own, whatever. And then everything else happened, and so like I booked my flight without really even looking. It might have been a little emotional. And I'm flying out Tuesday, like way too early.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm like, I'll figure it out.
I remember you saying on one of your other, you're independent now, so I can mention those. Oh, by the way, this is the first time. Yeah. This is the first time I've been here since your Declaration of Independence, your 4th of July moment at PAX East. Holy fucking shit. It is awesome.
Thank you.
Big round of applause for the Giant Bomb fellas. I am proud to be support this thing as far as it will go. And everybody watching this, go to giantbomb.com/join right now and join this goddamn website because these are good dudes trying to do good things, and it's just great. It's great. So
thank you. Yeah, we're excited.
Yeah, but anyway, I completely lost my train of thought in that exuberance. So what was the question?
You were going to say something like, you're independent now, so I could say this if that doesn't right.
On one of your other podcasts, I think it was Nintendogs, you had mentioned that you might be in flux a little bit. Mm-hmm. So if you need a place to throw your shit starting Thursday night, you say the word. I got you.
Thursday night we'll have our place, but I appreciate that. So yeah, and I actually got the where I'm staying figured out. Got some family situation going on, so it's going to be
good.
It's going to be all good. Looking forward to it. Actually, it'll be nice to I'll get some work done as well. We'll maybe try to meet up with some people who are in the area. Maybe meet up with some devs that are in LA.
Shit! There you go.
So. Yeah, get some stuff done. All right, let's explain ourselves. This is Giant Bomb. You can go to giantbomb.com/join and support what we do here, including this show. Support us going out to stuff like Summer Game Fest and putting on night shows like GB at Night Live. Really looking forward to that. That's going to be happening Friday and Saturday night of SGF weekend. That's June 6th and June 7th. And we could really only do that because of your support. So that has been awesome to be able to enable that right away. As soon as we went independent, you all unlocked that capability through your support. So thank you to everyone who's gone to giantbomb.com/join. We appreciate it. It gets you ad-free podcasts, gets you some other goodies. I've got some fun ideas I'm working on to like just surprise people with on the staff. Just be like, hey, come into this room, and then we're going to record a video, and then I'm going to put that out as a premium thing, I think, at least at first. So, it's going to be a good time. Go to giantbomb.com/join and help us out.
Are we talking like gifts or something, or are you going to tell Dan? Are you going to tell Dan to come in the room and slap him in the nuts?
Yeah, but pretty much. Yeah, it's the equivalent of that. It's like I'm just going to get the Parsec PC, and I'm just going to be like, all right, now you have to play this, and it's going to be maybe not a Blade Club game, but it could be atrocious in other ways. So. As far as this show goes, most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Microsoft reportedly pauses development on Xbox Handheld. This is from Blair Marnell at GameSpot. Last year, a story broke that Microsoft was working on prototypes for an Xbox handheld console that could potentially compete with Valve's Steam Deck. However, a new report suggests that Microsoft is putting aside its ambitions for a dedicated Xbox handheld, at least for now. According to Windows Central, Microsoft is shifting its priority away from its Xbox handheld to focus on improving the gaming performance of Windows 11 on third-party handheld devices, including Asus's Project Kennen. I think it's Kennen. The report notes that Microsoft still has ambitions of releasing its own handheld, and it's developing additional technologies towards that goal. But for the immediate future, that's not the priority. Excuse me, Jason, we've heard these rumors for a long time. I think that as I hear this, to me, it actually makes a lot of sense because Microsoft is the Windows company. And in the last couple of weeks, I've been paying attention to this. This is probably not something that's like getting out there to most people. It's just I'm a Steam Deck freak. Steam OS has been updated so that you could kind of put it on other devices. And the first third-party handheld, the Lenovo Legion Go S, launched with Steam OS instead of Windows. And this is the same device that did launch with Windows, a couple years back. It's got all the same components for the most part. It just has Steam OS now. And the side-by-side comparisons are really rough for Windows. It looks pretty bad. Like, obviously, there's the stuff I complained about, which is I think Windows on a touchscreen controller device is miserable. Trying to update the correct drivers in 3 different apps when it's time to update things because it's not all centralized because it's Windows is a pain. And then, when you want to type in a password field and you click on it and it just doesn't work right because Windows is like, wait, where's the keyboard? What's going on here? That's happened to me plenty of times. That stuff's annoying. They need to fix that. They're working on that. The bigger problem might be like the performance of these games it's just better on Steam OS, which is wild considering that it's like there's a Proton layer translating a lot of games. Battery life, way better. And so, what Microsoft needs to do is figure out Windows first, because if that's going to be their strategy of let's make everything a Windows PC, including our Xbox and the Xbox handheld, that operating system needs to be more scalable for devices like this, and it's pretty far away from that right now. So this makes sense because this is a big problem they need to solve, because if this space takes off, like as much as it has been, if it continues to growing the way it has been, a few million consoles per year, or a few million of these handheld PCs per year, and then it like begins to grow, Microsoft could miss out on a big new opportunity, and it doesn't want to do that. So does this all sound right to you?
Yes, they could miss out on a huge opportunity again. Seems to be their MO. Hello, Windows Phone. Hello, Zune. Yep. It makes perfect sense to me that they would need to get Windows, some sort of proprietary Windows system specifically for these handheld PCs, because translating Windows 11 to the original Lenovo Legion Go, which I have, is a mess. The keyboard is a mess. It doesn't come up when you need it to. The touchscreen works when it wants to, doesn't work when it doesn't. It forgets that you have the handheld on sometimes, and then you have to attach it again, and then Windows doesn't read it, doesn't recognize it as a controller. They cannot, if they want everything to be an Xbox, they cannot fall behind again.
Yeah.
They have to figure this out. If Kennen had come out, or Keenan and Kel, whatever it's called, if it had come out and was, inferior to the Legion Goes, the ROG Allies, and the Steam Deck in particular, it would be left in the dust. It would be the Windows Phone and the Zune all over again. And I don't think with this particular technology they can afford that, because they're supposed to be the PC gaming company. For reputation's sake, they can't afford it, let alone the actual technology. So, yes, this tracks. This makes sense. It is beneficial to them that we have not actually seen this thing yet, and it's been all rumors. They didn't pull a MultiVersus and put it out and then take it away again. That works in their favor. So we won't have anything to compare it to when it actually does launch, right? Yeah, I mean it seems like a sound strategy for them, whether or not it pays off, if the delay in when they wanted it to come out versus when it actually does come out is beneficial. Once they figure this stuff out, who knows? They could have already missed the boat and just don't know it yet. But, you know, for their sake, I hope they figure it out, because this, a first party, even though they're partnering with Asus, a first party Windows PC gaming handheld makes sense. It makes sense in the space. And the fact that it doesn't exist yet is a little weird.
Yeah, they do seem motivated. So I think they recognize that this is an opportunity that they don't want to miss out on. And so I think they're taking it seriously, which gives me the hope that when this Project Kennen Asus handheld comes out, which is, you know, mostly still going to be third-party hardware with a lot of Microsoft love on it, I think there's a chance that they do solve most of these issues. The battery, the actual performance, maybe that's more questionable, because Windows has been this kind of thing where they've tried to make it more scalable in the past, and sometimes that looks like a Windows for ARM. You know, the mobile chips or whatever. They've tried that. That's not what this is, or at least wouldn't be yet. And then sometimes it looks like Windows, 8, which had all the, the idea of like, hey, this can also run on your tablets. For as much as they've made that like, okay, here is a good UI or an acceptable UI for a touchscreen interface, that even when they were trying that, they didn't necessarily figure out, the lower performance, or you could put this into a laptop that doesn't need a fan or whatever. No way. That's not how it was working. So I'm still pretty skeptical that they're going to figure that out until we see it. But I think at the very least, this story makes it sound like they know that is something they must be concerned with, and hopefully they have people working on it. We'll see.
Yep.
I think I want a handheld space that, especially on the PC side, that does have both Steam OS and Windows kind of competing with one another. I think that would be good for the improvement of features. I think Steam, I think the reason Valve has been moving so fast, other than it's had success, is it does see a chance to kind of dominate. And I think kind of Windows keeping it honest there would really help.
Yep.
All right. Up next, morale at Star Wars Jedi and Titanfall developer Respawn is at an all-time low. This is from Alex Hopley at Game Reactor. EA has made headlines a few times this year with job cutting. Most recently, it canceled its Black Panther game and shut down the developer making it over at Cliffhanger Studios. Also, earlier in the year, around 100 people were let go from Apex Legends, Titanfall, and Star Wars Jedi developers to Respawn. According to senior encounter designer at Respawn, Patrick Wren, this has understandably led to an adverse effect on people still at the company. Morale has been at an all-time low, he said in a post on Blue Sky. I can say that much. As the 2023 and 2024 trend of jobs being lost in the industry continues in 2025, it's difficult to imagine that morale is very good at any major publisher right now, or that it will even improve at EA. Everyone at EA has got to be feeling like pretty shell-shocked right now after massive cut after massive cut, and a big game like Black Panther getting canned. Several games, over the years getting canceled at Respawn, but then a bunch of layoffs happening at Respawn recently, and that was on top of mammoth layoffs last year. It's just been kind of cut after cut to the point where it's like, okay, well, what does the future look like? And then when EA says what the future looks like, it's like it is focusing on a handful of games that have already had proven success and then skate. And so that's what they said. So we'll see how that goes for them. But if you are working at EA and you're looking around and be like, okay, well, we're still working on Star Wars Jedi 3. Are you going to mention that? And it's like, well, in this latest round of layoffs, when they talked about the games that they're focused on for the future, they didn't mention that. The only thing they mentioned was Apex Legends, a game that feels like it has been wrung dry. So if you're working at Respawn, you're like, we've done everything we can think of. And many of the people who made Respawn early on have left because their stocks have vested and they are starting their own studios. So I think that this is a situation where it's got to feel gloomy, and the chances of you feeling like you're able to turn it around in such a big company, it has to feel impossible at a certain point, right?
It can't be good walking into your office every day and feeling this sword of Damocles hanging over your head, not knowing when that's actually going to drop and you're not going to have a job anymore. I feel for these people. I really do. I cannot imagine, especially in a business or in an industry, we're supposed to be making things that are fun and people enjoy, right? To have to go in every day with that lack of assurance, with that fear that the next email you get could be the one that sends you packing is harrowing. It's not something I envy. It's something I very much empathize with. Like I was laid off in 2014 from unrelated to the gaming industry. This is the job that I had at the time, and I still remember waking up and being directionless for Christ. It was months before I finally got back into a steady job. So to know that might be in your immediate future, and then not knowing what that immediate future looks like. Is it 3 months? Is it 1 month? Is it tomorrow? It's rough. And it's even weirder to say this about Respawn, who you mentioned those franchises that they want to focus on. Respawn's like half of them. They are Apex and they are Star Wars Jedi. It's so to have the morale be at an all-time low there. What's it like at I was going to say Codemasters, but that I think we're talking about that next. Or whatever the racing studio is. Like
Codemasters.
Oh yeah. So I just, it sucks. I mean, there's no other way to put it. I'm trying to, find a way to get a smile out of people in the chat, but how do you do that in a story like this? It's harrowing. It's not a situation they deserve for the quality of stuff that they've been putting out. And like you said, it's got to feel helpless.
Yep. Yeah. I think, at Respawn, which is, where Patrick Wren works, and is saying the morale is especially bad. It's got to be at a certain point. They have tried so many new ideas and had so many projects that were really promising. Things that, I heard about, like Titanfall Legends, that sounded really awesome. It was going to take inspiration from Hades but still be Titanfall. And they're like, hey, the one problem we had with Titanfall 2 is we would watch people play, and some would still play it like Call of Duty, and they wouldn't even like do the wall run or the double jump and stuff like that. We want to really kind of encourage them to do that, and they had all these great ideas to do that. And it's like, then EA changed its mind. At first, it's like, this is a good way to get people back into Apex Legends. We're going to kind of bring it into that umbrella. And they're like, well, no, Apex Legends is actually dead, and we're going to let it have a graceful sort of dropping off period. We're not going to reinvest in it too much. And then they changed their mind again. It's like, well, you're not going to do anything else because we're going to go back and reinvest in Apex Legends. And they're going to be like, what the hell? We were making stuff that would have made sense if this is what you wanted, if you want us to keep growing. And so the whiplash, the back and forth has got to be very frustrating. And then as you said, as you listed, all of the uncertainties are really have to just kill morale. So I'm hopeful that the people that are still at Respawn can do good work. I don't have much faith in EA overall in this moment.
Which sucks because they handle some of the biggest properties in the world. Like, if you're the NFL right now, you have to have at least, you're one of the most sure things every single year in the industry. You have to have like just one eye on what the hell is going on outside of EA Sports. It's got to be scary. So yeah, and people like to. I've heard people say, "Why is the industry so secretive? Why is it so controlled?" I think it's because at least there's an element to it that if we heard about the games that were in development and all the awesome ideas that were in them, and then they get canceled, people would lose their minds. I imagine this probably happens more often than we are privy to, but like when you say you're making a Black Panther game and then just say, "Oh no, never mind, sorry, we lied." And now, like, does Iron Man come out? Like, do you get Iron Man now, or is that
who knows?
It's.
And there's apparently there was like a third Marvel game that I remember hearing about, but I never found much else out about it. And it's like, is that even going to pop up?
It's probably like Fing Fang Foom in the Savage Lands or something nobody's ever heard of.
Well,
but like, it's so, I'm thinking about them. I'm hoping that they find a way to turn it around despite the myriad forces working against them.
Definitely. Sticking with EA is planning to close its main racing studio as part of future layoffs, according to some reports. This is from Alex Coe at DualShockers. Following yesterday's cancellation of the Black Panther game by Electronic Arts and closing the studio working on it, Cliffhanger Games, it seems more layoffs might be planned for the video game company. This time, the latest rumor suggests that one of EA's newest studio acquisitions is not only facing layoffs, but also reportedly closing its doors completely. The latest rumor comes from Xtasys, who has been corrected multiple times when it comes to insider info. He had that Xbox story a few weeks back about all of Xbox's plans or whatever. And I kind of double checked in many of those things. He had a lot of that right. So I'm like ready to give Xtasys some credit, although who knows what's actually going to happen here. The cancellation of Black Panther will not be the only thing. I've been able to learn that there are about 400 more layoffs coming to EA, a total closure of the main headquarters of Codemasters, and that these developers will be integrated into EA SP, which does F1, and a new Need for Speed that is already in development. This is the thing that people hate about EA maybe the most. Buying a studio and closing it years later. Like honestly, it feels like they just acquired Codemasters. They maybe did a couple of the Codemasters annual racing games, and now here we are. God, there's a lot of people that work there, so I don't hope that it collapses. But honestly, EA, do we even need you? Like, why do we? Like, I'm pretty sick of this. Okay, who knows what Codemasters' future would have been like had they not been acquired? There's always that you should consider, but still, this looks terrible, right?
It looks awful. It's EA doing EA things again. It's what people, when they bought BioWare, they thought the joke was, oh, sorry, BioWare, you're out. It's over for you because EA owns you now. And who knows? Maybe they're on the clock too, which is unfortunate. They talk about, those 4 properties. Mass Effect's not in there either, and we know you're making that. So, but back to Codemasters. This is wild. To me, they were making a successful racing franchise. They get swallowed up by EA, and now they're rumored to be getting let to pasture. It makes covering the industry tougher than it should be. Yeah. I think I would love to spend my time, talking about new game releases and all the fun, stupid stuff that people are doing in Elden Ring, Nightreign right now or whatever. And that's a minor gripe. My complaint of, oh no, it makes me sad to write these articles does not compare to the.
Of course.
I'm gonna make that very, very clear. But what the fuck happened, man? Like what happened that we are now getting into this situation? At this point, I'm just expecting EA and Ubisoft to merge, make UBA, and they'll make one game a year, and they'll just be this big ivory tower game studio in Montreal or whatever, and they'll just be their own thing. None of this makes any sense to me. And maybe it's just because I don't have a business background, the business know-how of why this made financial sense to just buy a studio and then close it. It's fucking terrible. Sorry.
No, you're right. It's so code, and the sad thing about Codemasters would be if it did close. Again, we don't know. We've been around since 1986, or been putting out games since 1986. So there's a huge legacy there, and it's not like it's a couple games and then a bunch of years off. It's like they were consistently putting out several games a year for decades. And there's a chance that this is miscommunication, that some jobs are getting cut as part of other layoffs or whatever. But it's clear that they are diminishing the role of Codemasters because they've already given up the World Rallycross IP. Like that went back up, and someone else already grabbed that. And
Nacon, I believe. Yes,
that's right. Codemasters was putting out an annual WRC game every year, and the last one they did was in 2023, and then they didn't do one in 2024. And it's okay. Well, now here's 2025. Is that when it's going to pop back up? And it's like, no, EA's done with that. So they are already taking away some of the projects that studio was working on. It's not like doesn't seem like they were going back to dirt. Instead, it does sound like they're taking the people from Codemasters and putting many of them on Need for Speed, as the story claims. And it's like, okay, I get Need for Speed is one of your racing games that always does just sell. There's a massive audience for it, even though I think that's kind of weird personally. But there is a massive audience for it. but man, what was the point of acquiring Codemasters just to make more Need for Speed games? I thought the idea was to diversify, and no, that's not what they're thinking. All right, let's see here. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. Plenty of more headlines. If you want to miss out on these breaks, you can always go to giantbomb.com/join, and you can get the ad-free podcast there. Go do that. In the meantime, everyone else, here are the ads. This episode of Giant Bomb is brought to you by giantbomb.com/join. Join us there, become a member. It helps us make fun stuff. It gets you ad-free content. It also helps us make some extras here and there that we'll give exclusively to you as members. It's giantbomb.com/join for $10 a month or $100 a year, where you save $20. You can support us in making all the cool stuff that we make over here at Giant Bomb. Once again, that's giantbomb.com/join. Become a member now. Welcome back to Game Mess Mornings. I'm Jeff Grubb from Giant Bomb. That's Jason Fanelli. Let's get back into the news. Elden Ring Nightreign explodes on Steam, but is already getting cooked in the reviews. Here's one of the reviews in the headline. Very bold of Miyazaki to think I have two friends to play with. This is from Ethan Gotch at Kotaku. Elden Ring Nightreign had a huge first night on PC. It's already From Software's second biggest launch ever on Steam. The multiplayer spin-off of the 2022 hit open-world RPG is already getting hammered by user reviews as fans complain about the lack of onboarding, poor communication tools, and the need to play with friends to have any real shot at surviving the challenging boss fights. Officially out today on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S, Elden Ring Nightreign went live on PC last night around 6 p.m., and it's already spraying up the Steam charts with to reach over 300,000 concurrent players. That made it the fourth biggest game on Valve's storefront and the second biggest launch from Software, behind only Elden Ring itself. Its namesake and its $40 price point clearly did the experimental multiplayer spinoff some favors. But it didn't take long for players to realize that Nightreign is very much not Elden Ring, unlike its slow plotting predecessor. The spinoff is a battle royale influenced loot race in which sessions see an entire Soulsborne experience condensed into just 45 minutes. It takes some getting used to, and players are already coming to grips with Nightrein's notable hostility to explaining itself, even for a From Software game. And while it does allow for online solo play, or offline solo play, I should say, its steep difficulty curve, more of a right angle, really, heavily rewards group play and coordination. And then there's a bunch of user reviews here, but many people are just kind of getting at this idea of there is a game here that probably is good and maybe in some ways great. It is difficult to find that as a player just entering this game for the first time, especially because you need to be with two other people who have already gone through that process and discovered what made it good as well. And that is not happening yet. And I believe that there are going to be people who eventually end up falling in love with this game, Jason. But I think in this moment, the idea of asking a lot of people like, okay, buy this game, get out two other people that you're going to play with to buy it, because you're going to need that. Because while there is matchmaking, there are no communication tools, really. There's no in-game chat where you could type out your messages, and there's no voice chat inside the game. So it's like people are matchmaking, and everyone's kind of running in a different direction. Maybe that sorts itself out over time as people do learn how to play the game. But I think even regardless, if you're going to have random matchmaking without voice chat, you're kind of setting yourself up for a lot of headaches with how your players interact with this game. How are you feeling about it?
I don't know that I'm surprised, right? I hear experimental multiplayer from a studio that is more known for its single player stuff. I mean, there's multiplayer aspects to all the Souls games, sure, but this is like as it said in the article here, a battle royale inspired loot race with 3 players. That does not fit the Elden Ring formula. People trusted FromSoft to make it fit, but it sounds like they may have stumbled a little bit in that regard. The fact that they went with the 2007-2008 suite, and that's even being generous, of online multiplayer offerings, no voice chat, is very weird. That's very the fact that Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 has something that this brand new 2025 game does not have is not sitting right with me. Yeah, and someone did put in chat, I missed who it was, and forgive me. They may be patching the solo experience to make it slightly more bearable.
I think I would love that personally.
Yeah, I mean,
that'd be great.
If there are enough, if they have enough data that suggests that a lot of people are trying this solo and they want to patch it down so that those solo folks can give a shot, the Elden Ring players who don't have two friends to play with are still able to enjoy the game. Great, that's how it should work. And then if you have a patch in the middle where if it's a 2-player game, maybe the difficulty goes up a little bit, but not too much. That's fine too. I'm not surprised that people who were looking for a certain type of experience because of the name Elden Ring aren't getting it. I wonder if they maybe would have had more success without the name on it. Like if it was just inspired by Elden Ring or Tales of Elden or something to differentiate it and not make it sound like a direct sequel or an expansion or something like that. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know that doesn't shock me. I haven't tried it yet. I haven't had a chance to, and FromSoft isn't usually my bag anyway. But I don't think that I'm surprised that something that's so far off from the core experience of the namesake is turning people off. Maybe with the patch, it'll get fixed. Maybe with easier ways to connect with random matchmaking, especially in no voice chat. That's really throwing me that there's no voice chat. That seems like that's like Nintendo decision right there.
Right. Now I'm sure if you're on console, like you can just see the person's screen name, make a party, and connect with them that way. Steam, it's a little. That's like even if that might be possible, it's a little bit against the way people play PC games. It's like you're not supposed to like reach out and start calling the person you're playing with randomly. So maybe there's a little faux pas situation there. But also I think people are like, well, if I'm supposed to communicate, just put it in the game. Like that's how it works in every other game on Steam. So I wouldn't be here in this game from one of the biggest developers in the world. And it's like, well, because they're weird. They're weird. They're just weird. There's no crossplay. This is a game that definitely feels like you should have progression that happens where your character's tied to a server or something. So when you're going on these online sessions, it goes. But it's like apparently Xbox Era in chat was saying that's only that only happens for the main person who's playing, and everyone else who's joining their game doesn't have the meta world progression. It's like what? Oh, yeah, I don't like.
So if I join your game, only you get the
you might benefits? Get maybe you get like some certain progressions for your character. I've only played a little bit, but apparently you don't get the meta world progression is what they said. And I don't know exactly what that means.
Yikes!
I'm not surprised to hear that because again, weird. From Software is weird with this stuff. They make decisions. They make big choices, and a lot of times that's like, wait, everyone else does it this way, and a lot of times it doesn't make sense, but it makes for fun. Or creates opportunities for their very fun messaging system where people are just leaving all kinds of notes for each other. And it's like, no, this is actually a great thing. You put Miiverse in all your games. I know it predates Miiverse even, but you put Miiverse in all your games, and now we can just enjoy these messages. Here, it just feels like it's antithetical to the game that you've built and that you want, and antithetical to the way you want people to be playing your game. So that could be a little annoying. Plonic confirms layoffs. The landscape is shifting, and with it, so must we. This is from Chris Scullion at VGC. Ukulele developer and publisher Plonic Games has confirmed that a number of its staff has been laid off. Numerous Plonic staff have been posting on social media over the past week that they had lost their jobs, making it increasingly likely that these weren't individual cases and that Plonic had conducted a round of layoffs. The company has now officially confirmed this in a statement on Twitter and Blue Sky, though it hasn't clarified how many staff are affected. This is one of those messages we never wanted to have to write. The statement reads, "We've all seen in recent years how the games industry has been changing, resulting in studio after studio finding themselves in situations where to continue to exist, they must make painful decisions that impact the lives of so many individual developers. Like others, we've felt the knock-on effects, and after exploring every possible avenue, we've had to make the incredibly heartbreaking decision to say goodbye to some truly brilliant members of the Plonic team." Jason, they kind of go on to say that this is something that a lot of developers and publishers are dealing with. They hate this, but they're trying to shift with the times because they feel like the way games are being financed, the way that they're being built, has completely changed up on them. And so they're going to have to start from scratch in some ways, and that means greatly paring back. This size of studio is one that I really wish could find stable footing. I hope that does happen. What do you think the chances of that are of that happening are in the next couple of years?
Or Platonic specifically,
For the Platonic or a studio of this size, like it feels like all the studios of this size are standing on quicksand.
Yes, I would agree with that. Just because if you don't come out with a major hit and then a follow up to that major hit, that's another major hit. Like a lot of these size studios feel like one and dones. Platonic is a bit of a exception to that rule, even though all three of their games are in the same universe, right? Yooka-Laylee, The Impossible Lair, I think was the second one,
right.
and now Replay, which stop it.
Love it. Yooka-Laylee.
Replay. That's a hard one to say. So yeah, I mean, they have been able to keep going based on this little franchise they've built for themselves and the indie clout that it gained for bringing back the 3D platforming genre. And that's part of it too, right? A lot of these indie studios like to focus their efforts on a genre or on a style of game that hasn't been around in a while. The 3D platformer in Yooka-Laylee, the Banjo-Kazooie style 3D platformer in Yooka-Laylee's case is the example. But then, okay, you've gotten your nostalgia hit. Now what? Yep. You're gonna go back to that well? Does that work? How are you going to iterate on what you've already iterated on without then falling into the same trap that the genre fell into in the first place? And that's why people don't make them anymore. So you need to have a studio who, or maybe like even a group of studios under one umbrella who can kind of branch out and do different things even within the same genre. I think of Dotemu.
Yeah.
When I come up with this, because they have a bunch of beat 'em ups, but every one of them feels different enough, and they're all developed by different studios.
And I think yes, exactly. They're like a smaller studio that partners with a lot of other studios,
right? And then they partner with IP and license the IP from. Well, I don't know. Did Sega still own Streets of Rage at the time? I'm not sure about that. But then Marvel Cosmic Invasion and Turtles: Shredder's Revenge, which was excellent. So they come to mind. It's sort of how the strategy seems to work. Now, 2D beat 'em ups. Maybe easier to develop sort of than a 3D platformer. Granted, it's all hand-drawn pixels. That's probably takes a little more effort than, or maybe just as much effort than modeling 3D. But I don't know that I don't know where the development costs would be in those type of projects. I want to say I hope that Platonic comes out of this without, put the sign on the door that says no longer business. But I think in order to do that, they need to have another hit that isn't Yooka-Laylee. They need more IP, license an IP, and adapt the 3D genre to it. Revive Gex. That seems to be a thing that people are trying to do now. Bring Gex back. I don't know. It's whatever. You know what, Platonic? Maybe you. I'm sorry, Jeff. You break the glass and you press the button, the white button with the big red exclamation paint on it.
No.
In case of emergency, break for Bubsy. Bring back Bubsy.
I think a Platonic Bubsy game, I would like to see that. That would be pretty cool. I think it's a matter of scale, right? Well, Dotemu, and then like all this slew of indie developers where it's like, hey, you've been making Silk Song for years. I was like trying to remember the name. I was going to call it Spoon Heaven. You've been making Silk Song for years, and it's like, yeah, they can afford to do that because it's a smaller studio that can thrive on the profits of the first game selling in Steam sales for years, right? They could just like kind of predict that a little bit, be like, we can just rely on that to sort of fund everything. And I'm sure there's other funding because they probably are trying bigger things, especially a successful studio like that. But in a lot of cases, these smaller studios are just kind of surviving on the profits of their first game. Platonic was too big to do that, right? They also had a publishing arm and things. They were trying to grow and grow and grow. And I just don't know if the current gaming industry can sustain a studio trying to do that right now. Maybe one, maybe two. There's a couple here and there that can pull that off. If you're a little bit bigger, if you're IO Interactive, like they're like, hey, let's try that. We're going to publish some stuff. Although, that could be treacherous as well for them. We'll find out. But Platonic is of that scale where it's like, actually, maybe it is better to pare back down and try to be more like a Dotemu, where it's like, hey, we could do this thing very well. Let's partner up with some other studios, or just have to make smaller games. I don't know. Yep. Death Stranding 2 is getting a live game premiere presentation during Summer Game Fest. This is from Chris Scullion at VGC. A live game premiere event for Death Stranding 2 has been confirmed for Summer Game Fest. The presentation will take place at the Orpheum Theater in Los Angeles, will be hosted by Jeff Keighley, and will be streamed online. Hideo Kojima will be in attendance at the event, which is designed to celebrate the game's upcoming launch with a panel discussion with special guests and an exclusive live demonstration of the game in action. A limited number of tickets for the event are available, with those interested able to register now for a chance to attend. Hey, they're really kicking this off. Obviously, this is part of his I think his world tour, where he's going to take the game to. Right here it says Sydney, Tokyo, Paris, London, Seoul, Taipei, Hong Kong, Shanghai, Riyadh, and Sao Paulo, before ending in Lucca in Italy in November. So they're kicking it off here. Do you think that this is the kind of marketing campaign that can get Death Stranding 2 a lot of eyeballs? I think this is Summer Game Fest makes a lot of sense.
We were getting it at Summer Game Fest no matter what because of the bromance, right?
Of course.
Whether we wanted Kojima there or not, he's going to be there to support his boy Jeff. You know it. No, this makes perfect sense. I think it's a good setting. I think with Keighley as the host, they obviously have a lot of chemistry. They can put on a good back and forth fireside chat sort of thing. That's the vibe I'm getting from this. Special guests probably means some of the other people, the other celebrities who are in the cast. They're in LA. They're probably in their backyard. Just bring them in. I think this is a neat idea. I think they were smart to not compete with Giant Bomb at night and to go on Sunday. That was very smart of them not to do that.
Stay off my turf, Kojima.
It's cool. It's a good idea. This is how you get some extra gameplay out there. Makes me wonder if it'll show up at SGF Live as well. But when I really think about it, yeah, of course it will. It'll be all over this weekend. So yeah, this is cool. This is a cool little idea. As much as we talk about, speaking of weird, as much as we talk about how much of a auteur and an artist and weird Kojima is, nobody talks about his games better than him.
Yep.
So to give him the opportunity to do that in this sort of setting makes perfect sense. Now, is this the PlayStation Showcase that we were talking about?
Yeah,
because it is live streaming on the PlayStation channel. Was this the plan?
Yep. Yeah, I was going to ask that. It's so this does kind of say that we shouldn't expect a state of play that would have featured Death Stranding right around this time. So maybe that is something that's happening later in June. Makes sense that this would be separate from what I was hearing about. That's all I could say, really. But yes, but this is going to be on the PlayStation YouTube channel. So yeah, they're definitely promoting this as a PlayStation thing, which of course they are.
At first, I was like, how'd they get the Orpheum? The Orpheum is usually full around this time. And then I thought, it's Ubisoft that takes the Orpheum. Oopsie. That's right. They have, what were they doing? Do we know what they're doing? Are they?
I don't think I've heard anything from Ubisoft. I don't know.
Do they have a game? That's so weird.
They might have
a
game.
So weird.
Beyond Good and Evil 2 will be there. It'll be the big game this year.
Yeah, there you go. There it is.
MultiVersus officially closes down and is delisted today. This is from Chris Scullion at VGC. The online servers for MultiVersus officially closed down today. This is, of course, the Warner Brothers games crossover Smash Brothers rival. The publisher announced back in January that the game's 5th season would be its last, running from February 5th to May 30th, and then it went offline today. You were following MultiVersus there for a while. It kind of a rough end for a game that never really found its footing, and I think because Warner Brothers was directing it in the wrong direction. But that's my take. What do you think?
Farewell, sweet prince. We hardly knew ye. We did know ye, and then you went away, and then we had to know ye again.
Knew you again, yeah.
We
renew ye.
Renew ye. He got it up before I did. Damn it. Yeah, what the fuck, man? This should have been a slam dunk. There was a void created by a lack of a new Smash Brothers. Ultimate had gotten all of its characters out. This should have been a slam dunk. With all of the IP, even in the game, you had Game of Thrones, you had Scooby-Doo, you had DC superheroes, you had Rick and Morty, all of those premier names in one game in a silly slapstick platform fighter. It should have been a slam dunk. And the fact that it's not continuing, but not for any fault of player first,
No.
because of all of the bullshit shenanigans surrounding it. It makes my skin crawl.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It should have been a no-brainer. And the game was fun. It was fun before it went away, and it was fun after it came back. I enjoyed playing this game. And I just cannot wrap my head around the fact that they fumbled this bag so much. It is astounding to me that this game is not continuing. I've been trying to think of the exact moment where it all fell apart. I don't know that I disagree at the time with them taking it out of beta, but if you're going to do that, you better relaunch with guns fucking blazing.
And it better feel like a big change, like a big shift has happened. Yeah.
They didn't do that. It felt like the exact same game with extra characters. It was 1.0, but without the smooth transition from beta to 1.0. Yeah. And if you go back and watch the live streams of when they're coming back and they're talking about why they were doing this and how, like, the strategy, you can just see in their faces that they have no control over this. And this is not what they want to do, but they're being told they have to by people who don't know what the goddamn fuck they're doing. Sorry.
And the people who like have this idea of like this game can be so much more than it ever really could have been. It could have just been a successful video game. I was saying on Decides last night, they could have just made it a product. They could have just put a price on this game and sold it like the Nickelodeon games, and it would have done way better than Nickelodeon games because it was a better game. Mm-hmm. And they just didn't want to do that because they had stars in their eyes or dollar signs in their eyes for a live service game that would just be the equivalent of Smash Brothers, but free to play. And every time a new character got announced, people would freak out the way they do for Smash Brothers characters. And it's like, no, you're gonna have to earn that. Don't start with that as the goal. That's like that's like step 5. You got so much stuff to figure out if you ever get there, which you probably won't. So just sell us a video game. Just do that. Mm-hmm. And then the business model was the exact opposite and was kind of toxic for the game and just turned a lot of people off, I think.
And not only that, if you're going to introduce a brand new character and try to do it in the same way that Super Smash Brothers does, you're not going to do that because no one makes trailers like Masahiro Sakurai. They just don't. I go back to the Switch Direct that we watched together and all of us going, this is a Sakurai trailer. You could just see it's a Sakurai trailer. When Kirby Air Rider showed up, he just has a style to him and a flair for the dramatic to him that they never replicated with their trailers. Like, go back and watch, in particular, I think it's Rick Sanchez specifically. The Rick Sanchez reveal trailer is just 30 seconds of gameplay where it's 2 characters fighting and the portal shows up and he walks through it. And he looks like it's an alpha model or even like a pre-alpha model that they didn't want to use. You can just tell that they were told to make a trailer and they were just like, shit, all right, guess we have to do this now. Everything about this game was mismanaged. I feel so terrible for this studio. And if they could all get the gang back together and make a platform fighter, either with different IP or even original, and just say, hey, we made MultiVersus, now we're trying something different, I would be there day one because the game was fun.
Yep, it's frustrating as a lot of these news stories today have been. I hope that the people who were at Player First can kind of get out of this situation and try something new and like come back and be like, look, see what we can do untethered from a big dumb publisher like WB, which is the biggest and dumbest of publishers.
Oh my God.
Wait, oh my God. The president is dead. In Helldivers 2, everybody. This is from Ethan Gotch at Kotaku. Woo, boo, boo, boo. The president of Super Earth has been killed in action by the Illuminati during the fall of Prosperity City. That was the message that greeted Helldivers 2 players when they logged on last night in one last bid to repel their invading squid-like foes. Some truthers think that this was an inside job. When the dust settled Friday morning, the battle to save Super Earth was over and players had succeeded in winning the extraction shooter's biggest showdown since it launched. So yeah, okay, I just wanted to do the joke. That's really what this is about. That's really it. I just saw the headline. I was like, Ethan Gotch, well done. You give me a fun thing to do. Helldivers 2 does just seem like it's one of those games that's in like a bunch of different states at the same time. It's a Schrodinger's video game where it seems like it's completely fine, and then it seems like maybe it's winding down. And then it's like, oh, no, actually it is popping off again. There's new content. People are waiting for this. And it's like, oh man, more people are playing than a long time. And then as soon as they kind of finish that content, apparently a bunch of Chinese players went and review bombed the game. So it's like they played it and then they were like I'm like, okay, what the fuck is going on over there? I don't know. I think that makes it actually pretty standard for a live service game, right? These things always seem like, think about the way Destiny was forever, but for several years there for Destiny 1 and then Destiny 2, where it's like you could ask any person who had been playing that game, like go look at their Steam profile, 1,000+ hours. You can ask them how they feel about Destiny and you would get a million different answers. So I think that the fact that Helldivers 2 is in that zone is maybe even kind of a good sign. It's like that is the natural state of a live service game, right?
That's how it should be. I mean, that's how the most successful live service games, they build on these moments. The one that really started it all really was the rocket in Fortnite. I still think about that and how the rocket blew up and shattered the sky. And so to keep having these little moments in your game and to keep driving the story in that way, it's how it should be. It's how Destiny 2 is. It's how the other one that you mentioned there is, I can't remember the name, and all of a sudden I'm blanking. But yeah, the fact that so many different people are playing this game in so many different ways and developing their own relationship with the game is the sweet spot. And I think they're getting there. My nephew, he's 14, 15, something like that. He got a PlayStation 5 this past Christmas, and Helldivers 2 was first on his list, still talking about it. And he texted me about this. They got the president in Helldivers. I'm like, I'm glad you prefaced that. I'm glad you're smart enough to preface that. Which you, sir, Chad is mad at you.
We all have to I just was trying to wake everybody up.
You
get
did.
everyone going.
Seems like you did that. But yeah, I think I think this is a good headline. It's good news for Helldivers 2. It's something that grabs the attention and lets people remember that you're there, especially, amongst all of the news that we've dealt with today. It's good for them. Keep up the weird storylines that keep people coming back and wake up the chat.
That's right. Exactly. Last story. We'll just do this one real quick. A Concord developer's commemorative release plaque is being auctioned at a Goodwill store. It's just like, like when an album goes like gold or platinum and they put like an artist puts that stuff on the wall, it looks a lot like that, but for when they print the version of the game. So it's the disc and the cover and then the developer's name or whatever. And the developer's name has been confirmed by I think VGC or some people. The bidding for this thing on the Goodwill website is up to $3,000. It's $3,002. So
that's
the most excitement anyone's ever had for Concord is happening right now for this thing.
Somebody was commenting on Blue Sky about this, that at some point this particular plaque is going to make more than the game did. And I was like, oh no.
Just inherently, that game lost so much money, right? Yeah.
I don't want to kick, I don't want to beat a dead horse or kick anybody while they're down, but oh God.
It's an artifact of like gaming's recent mistakes, right? That's what this is. It just represents a whole wrong-headed thinking about the way to approach people who play video games so that will spend money on your stuff. And this is just like emblematic of that moment. It really is. Which is ongoing in a lot of ways, but this is like going to be the poster child for that.
It really is a tangible piece of gaming history for all of the wrong reasons.
Exactly. All right, let's get to the poll question. This one is from yesterday. I'm going to vote right now. Do you think Persona 4 will get announced at Summer Game Fest? I'm going to get my hopes up and say yes. I know like there's still a good chance it won't happen, but I am in the majority. 67% of people think it will get announced at Summer Game Fest. 33% say no. So there you go. What do you think, Jason? You think there's a chance that'll happen?
I'm going to be a pedantic asshole and say no. It'll be at Xbox.
Yeah, okay.
Because Atlas and Xbox seem to be cozy.
Yes.
So if it's going to be anywhere this next weekend, I think it's going to be at the Xbox showcase.
Thank you, Skalker, for your first super chat on the stream. I appreciate that. If anyone else wants to try to burst into the show, drop a super chat. I'll keep my eyes on those. Feel free to do that on the episodes going forward. And that's on YouTube for audio listeners that are wondering later. So maybe we'll get some messages from the audience going forward.
Yeah.
All right, we have a new poll question. We'll get to that here in a moment. Before we do that, Jason Fanelli, why don't you tell people where they can find you on the internet, what you have going on, and all that good stuff?
Yes, you can find me at Big Man Fanelli on basically all social media that there is. Instagram. I am most active on Blue Sky and Instagram because Instagram takes my pictures to Facebook nice and conveniently for me, so I don't have to go on there. And Blue Sky is just better than X. I don't make the rules; it just is. So that's where I'm mostly hanging out. A lot of stuff on GameSpot recently. GameSpot is
Hello? Can you hear
What
me?
is he? Is that the voice of Mitch?
Yeah, that's Merch Master Mitch.
I gotta give you important information about this Persona situation before you make your decisions.
Oh no! Breaking news! Where's the music? Where's the music?
It's been pointed out to me that these voice actors have been coming out and talking about how they aren't going to be in the new game in the same exact order that their respective characters join your party in Persona 4.
Oh, it's a marketing ploy.
Just make of that what you will. Just say that if we.
What
if
am
we
I supposed to make of that? Like,
just make of what you will. That's up to you. I'm just relaying information. Goodbye.
When did this turn into Italian grandma mess mornings? What am I supposed to make with that? What are we doing here?
What am I supposed to do with this?
Hey, what is this, Mafia of the Old Country? Settle down. But no, you could, GameSpot, MMORPG. I've written a, excuse my language, even though I've been cursing this whole time, fuck ton of coverage about Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy, card reveals and galleries and shit like that. The full set will finally be on the website today, Wizards website, so we can finally see all the cards. They have all been previewed, so I could finally be done with that and just be ready to play the damn game when it comes out in 2 weeks. I mean, if I could brag for a second,
please.
I lost 50 pounds.
Hell yeah, you're looking great, brother.
Yeah, well, 52 since November.
Hell yeah.
I just feel like $1 million. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, it's wild. It took going to the gym 4 times a week at 5 a.m, but here and Wegovy, but here we are.
Yeah, it helps. Yeah.
But yeah, that was nice to get on the scale this morning and see 52 down. That's pretty awesome. But yeah, that's what I'm doing. That's what I have. What was that?
I said, hell yeah, brother.
Oh yeah, thank you. So yeah, that's me. That's where you can find me. That's where I'm doing my stuff. And Jeff, I am ready to give you a high five next week. I'm ready.
Yeah, I can't wait to see you. That's going to be great. Looking forward to it. We're going to be back in LA for SGF doing fun stuff, GB at night and all that stuff. And maybe you'll see Jason on the show. It'll be a good time. All right, let's see here. New poll question. Are you enjoying Elden Ring Nightreign? Yes, kind of, no, or I'm not playing. We'll get the results. Talk about that on Monday. Next week's going to be a little bit hairy for our shows because we will be traveling. Bombcast will happen, although I'm probably not going to be on it because I'm going to be traveling. And then no Game Mess mornings, likely Wednesday through Friday. We're just going to be too busy getting ready for GB at night, but we'll be back at it, as soon as we can, likely on the other side of SGF. And in the meantime, we'll have other ways of conveying information for you to you. Check out these channels. Check out giantbomb.com. There will be plenty of stuff happening there. Speaking of Giant Bomb, we still have more coming today. In fact, right after this, we'll take some time to get set up. We are going to play some Elden Ring Nightreign. We're going to kind of do a quick look live. And then later, we're going to do Roadcraft for UPF. And then at 1:30 Pacific time, 3:30 Eastern, we're going to try to match up against Kind of Funny in Elden Ring Nightreign. I know it's not a competitive game, but we're going to turn it into one where we're each going to play in parallel and see who can kill the most mini bosses, the giant bosses. They're all worth different points. Andy's got a scoring system. We'll give that a shot. We're expecting to get cooked here.
Andy has a scoring system.
Yeah. He's got a mini boss is worth 1 point, and the big night boss is worth 25 points or whatever. So we'll get into it, all of it. So
I like that.
We'll shift from Roadcraft to that about 3/4 of the way through UPF.
Hard left turn.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, they're very similar games when you think about it. All right, Jason Fanelli, thank you so much for hanging out with me today and talking about video games, man. I really appreciate it.
It was an honor. Again, it was my first time since you've gone independent. I am so happy for you guys. I cannot wait to see what you do. And if you ever need anything, right here.
Real quick, chat. So if they're doing it in order and it continues, who would be next? Is it Matthew Mercer that we should expect to see next? Because if that happens at this point, then I will fully believe. So we'll see. All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you all for listening. You are the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.
Yummy like a gummy bear.